Hey everybody, Fifi here with High Alpha Hooligans, and today we
No,
have
no,
a
no,
very
no,
special
no, no,
guest.
no, 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 no.
Bro.
Stop, Fifi.
Oh,
That is
come on.
not your line.
Whatever.
It's
I tried.
It's your best attempt at an impression, and it's still awful.
Oh my gosh.
Hello, hooligans. Welcome to High Alpha Hooligans. I'm Scott. As always, we've got Jimmy Chaos, and we have Fifi. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see we have a special guest. If you're listening in on Spotify or Apple Podcast or any non-video service, you'll recognize the voice. But today we have Wags from Eagle Dynamics with us, and we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff about Eagle Dynamics. Wags, say hi.
Hey guys, glad to be here. Big fan of the podcast and looking forward to chatting with you about all things DCS today.
Yeah,
Bro,
we're excited.
Dreams come true.
Yeah. Hey, you guys remember that one time we were begging for 50 subscribers and we were giving away things? Giving away modules for 50
For
subscribers?
that one time when we're like, someday we might get Wags on the podcast.
No,
It's happening right now.
it's happening. So it's kind of funny. I gotta take our first little detour. I never really realized how many voices were contained inside DCS until we started doing the ASMR episode. Then we had Grayson on a few times, and now hearing Wags' voice, everyone's heard it several times, but now when I do the Hornet training or a lot of those module trainings, I instantly, instead of hearing instructions on how to fire a weapon or something, all I see is Wags' face. So it's cool. This is a dream come true. Santa Claus exists, everybody.
It's Jimmy. It's Jimmy Claus.
Christmas came early.
No
Christmas
big
come early.
expectations.
Let's kick it off first. As always, thanks to our sponsor, Luck over at Fox 3 Managed Solutions, and to our partners, Heat Blur, Grinelli Design, DCS for Disability, and Eagle Dynamics, which we have in-house today. We normally start off with tell us about yourself and who the guest is, but you guys know who Wags is. We know who Wags is. So we're just going to jump right into the discussion and save more time in the podcast for talking about DCS and answering questions. So since everyone knows who Wags is, I'd say the first thing we need to start off with right off the bat. And this is
most important question.
Most
important
question.
Peak
early, right?
Okay. Here it comes.
You said let's peak early.
Was this high school sports? What are we doing?
Okay, guys, I got this. I got this. All right, so
Go for it.
we have had this historic debate rooted in mystery, and it is between two of the prevalent warbirds that are featured in DCS versus the Mustang. Everybody loves a Mustang, boom and zoom, and then the Spitfire. Put it up on a 90-degree and just pull.
Yep.
And you got stability for day, big wings, lots of flight control surfaces, lots of wind. But also we injected the hooligan aspect of it. So who would win in a dogfight? First, Ethan Hunt, portrayed by Middletooth Tom
In
a Mustang, or sophisticated John Connery in the refined Spitfire? Who would win in a dogfight?
That is a leading question. That is a leading question. You know it. But
there is nothing refined about the Mustang. The Mustang goes fast. It growls. It's American muscle. It's got 50 cals, but the Spitfires are refined. You got little machine guns that are good for marking. Then you got cannons that
I'm going to let the man. I'm just going to let the man answer the question.
There we go.
Let the man answer the question.
So I guess my take is, as long as little Tom is smart about flying the Mustang as it should be flown, he should be able to dominate the fight.
Good.
There it is.
However,
no.
But see,
Walk.
that opens the door, because it's not just Tom, it's Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt, who in every Mission Impossible bungles the mission entirely and then finds a way to save it at the end. So,
yep.
I cannot believe you guys are doing this.
No,
right now.
he said if he flew it correctly. So the conversation's not over yet, Fifi.
I guess
that your-
there's
is
two
that-
answers. If he flew it smart, take advantage of the energy of the Mustang, then yeah, he would win. But if he gets dumb and gets into a turning fight with a Spit, then he's going to probably lose.
Do you think that Sean Connery would allow him position himself in a defensive position?
I don't think you'd have a choice. The Mustang's
Mm.
going to run him down if he tries to
There it
extend
is.
out.
That's my answer.
Right.
I'm taking that. That
Okay.
is. I am interpreting. I'm interpreting Mustang as, and I'm just to all my haters out there. I want to thank the big guy upstairs. I want to thank Jay-Z, Beyonce. I want to thank the Academy for this award.
But like we said,
All
in
right,
the,
all right, Fifi.
the newsletter this week, if you like the Spit, you're really going to like the LA7. I've been
Yeah?
flying the LA7
Yeah,
a
that's gonna be
lot over the past week and a half or so. And it takes the Spit on steroids for me, basically. And it's not as quite as twitchy for me. But boy, it is a beast in a turning fight.
I saw it was 2 or 3 days ago. You guys did the social media push on the LA7. It
Yep.
looks awesome.
Yeah.
Not to cut, but you brought it up. Where is that in terms of final testing?
Well, myself and our flight model designer have both tested it now. And a lot of my tests were actually recording short videos and sending those to Nick Gray, who has just an encyclopedic knowledge of warbirds. And I sent him a few things. I was questioning some of the cylinder head temperature modeling, the oil temperature, some of its departure characteristics. But other than those, everything was, quite tight from his perspective in terms of how it should operate. The departure is probably spins a little bit slower than it should. And even since I did those initial tests, they've already addressed the cylinder head and oil temperatures. So once the C-130 is out in the quite near future, then that will be sent into full testing. And assuming we don't find any big bugs in that testing and they finish up the content, we're looking at the LA7 coming out very early next year.
Outstanding.
Pretty cool.
Love the
I
idea
did
of a new warbird and a Russian warbird that we can
Yeah.
fight in. That
I didn't-
not that I
I
want to
didn't
throw
ex-
shade on it, but the I-16 it's a hard plane to fight against the competitors that exist. So having
the
something
only-
a little more
yeah.
evenly matched
Yeah.
from the Soviet side.
Yeah, the big thing with the
didn't see that.
LA7 I'm still struggling with is takeoff and landing, particularly landing. Geez, I thought the 109 was a difficult bird to land and take off. The LA7 has a beat.
I honestly didn't see the LA7 coming on that one. I would have if there was a Fifi wish list, I probably would have gone for like a Yak 9 or the Yak 3 or Yak 9 would have been really cool.
Mhm.
The LA7's pretty iconic as well. So
Yeah,
it's
so
just a
that's
really
a-
cool looking
that's
aircraft
really
too.
good.
Yep.
Yeah. So actually, you know
Excited
what?
about
Side question right here. So there's been a lot of fun, like back and forth on, let's start easing into bringing in Hoggett and things like that. And there's always certain aspects about DCS where you go, well, is it like a simulator or a game, or some people, I've heard the conversation come up where people are like, or is it more like a digital museum, flying museum? Because you remember in the Heapler interview, Iron Mike was talking about how he wanted, the reason why they chose certain iconic aircraft is because they want to preserve them. And I'm like, that's very museum like talk. And so Wags, what's kind of like you guys' feeling when you approach some stuff like that?
Well, the museum aspect of it is certainly there, particularly for the warbirds, and I think that's one of the main reasons that Nick initially started that series of products. Given his connection, of course, with the fighter collection,
Right.
Which all started with the Mustang. In terms of the simulation versus game, I did another interview a while back, and I got myself in a bit of hot water about this answer. But in my mind, at least, and take it as you will, it will always be a study level flight simulation game. It's really simple.
Love
as
that.
It's a
Yep.
game. You're playing on your PC. It's not a simulator that you're at the RAG and learning to fly a Hornet on. To me, that's a true simulator. It's a simulator game, a hardcore study simulator game, granted, but it's still a game in the end. Something you play on your PC for fun.
Well, you say like learning to fly the airplane on, but I'm going to throw a bunch of credit towards what you guys have done. And I'm not sure if you had a chance to catch our A10 interview, where we interviewed two friends of mine that fly
I
it.
did. Yep.
And yeah, the consensus was that it is that sitting at home in VR in a $200 sim rig with this software is more realistic and better suited for training than the A10 sims the Air Force have, at least up to a point.
Well, I don't think
knew
it's
it
not a
was
secret.
good, but
And it's not a secret out there that, we actually developed the PC trainers for the U.S. Air Force for the A-10 Charlie. And we actually did in 2 different contracts over the years. And that's, one of the reasons why there's some features in the A-10 that you don't see in some of the other modules. Like say some of the dial of damage in the mission editor, some of the depth of the avionics systems. So that was a case of where our professional series of products really benefited the DCS side. And of course, it goes the other way around as well, where there's a lot of stuff that we developed for DCS that really benefited our professional side as well.
You mentioned that, and like the level of depth of systems. I see that when because we were lucky enough to be, given access to the C-130 a little early and stuff like that, and given the level. The level of depth of systems in that is incredible as well.
Absolutely.
And
Insane. Yep.
Incredible level of depth of system. So
very
that's
much so.
it'd be really cool to see that to see that in their simulator game simulators.
Yeah.
Games.
And we get that there's some customers out there who want a more approachable survey type fun game, but it's, what we think makes us special and what makes us very unique is the ability to have a large array of aircraft, fixed wings, rotary wing from all different eras at a high level of simulation. There's, other games out there, of course, that do it at a lower level of simulation, but, to me, that's what makes us unique.
Yeah. Well,
I like
that's
that.
that's what keeps us around too.
I think we
Scott-
all
I think Scott
agree with
also
that
had a
one
question.
perfectly.
And I think Scott has a question.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, having seen some of the past interviews and your display behind you, obviously a musician, right?
Yep.
My question is, what's your favorite artist? What's your favorite band? Like if you had one go-to that you could only listen to for the rest of your life.
It'd probably be Dire Straits just because of Mark Knopfler.
Nice.
Yeah. So as soon as I could get a guitar, of course, it had to be a red Stratocaster.
See, if I'd have known that, I would have put a little Dire Straits album behind me instead of Oasis.
Yeah, by far my favorite guitarist of all time.
Yeah. And songwriter too. Not that we're getting off topic here, but like some of the stories about how they wrote their songs, like Sultans of Swing, the story behind him sitting in a bar watching a band play to nobody, and he wrote a whole song about it. Just super cool stuff.
Yeah.
All right, on to the real question. So I was just because I just wanted to know.
Ooh, I got it.
That's what I'm here.
I got it. So, let me clear my throat. So one thing that we do is we have a community that we've built, and we run a few servers. Thank you, Luck. We love you. We run a lot of dynamic persistent campaigns, and recently we were lucky enough to test a new script that should be coming to GitHub in the near future that saves warehouse state to the same manner that the foothold script saves it. So with that kind of framing, I want to go into talking about dynamic campaign. There's been some recent chatter about a dynamic campaign will be restricted to only single player. It'll only be one map.
Well, just initially, yeah.
But can you walk us through what dynamic campaign will look like in a few different perspectives? The first perspective is what it will look like, roadmap, initial release, and then give us a perspective of what it will look like release over time, and then also the back end. How will it save state and carry things forward, such as progression in that dynamic campaign, staving things like warehouse, aircraft, things like that. If you could, just spill that, full of marbles, that'd be fantastic.
I'll do my best. I am not directly involved with the dynamic campaign design and development effort, but I did talk to a couple guys who were prior to this, so I could talk at least somewhat intelligently about it. In terms of the initial release, again, there was some false information out there that this was going to be permanent, but initially it'll be the Caucasus map, modern day, in single player. That's how it will start. But then eventually, of course, then I'll go to all maps, and then of course support all different eras in aircraft. Again, it goes back to the old adage of walk before you run. If we start try to do multiple maps at the same time and multiple eras, it's just going to really exacerbate the process of trying to debug and test everything. So we'll get that out there first. And I guess in terms of the general flow, a lot like a lot of dynamic campaigns over the years, the key focus, of course, is rather than based on a scripted out single mission, it's more about setting up the overall conditions of the battlefield and have a strategic AI that then makes both strategic and tactical decisions in terms of unit production, generating the ATO, then generating the specific missions, and then all the way down to the tactical level AI of how you put together a multi-element strike package that works in an intelligent way. And actually, that's one of our biggest challenges right now is that last part of whether it's a CAS mission, a CAT mission, deep strike, seed, what have you, of having the AI be smart enough, not just to assemble it, but while the AI is conducting that mission, having each of those elements within that package behave in a realistic, intelligent way to things that pop up unexpectedly. So, like I think I've made an example before, if you were doing a deep strike mission and you had a sweep, seed, and a striker, 3 different elements in trail, what happens if they get jumped by some MiGs on ingress, and having that all operate in a realistic way. And that's been one of our biggest challenges right now is making that all work. The other big element, of course, is the ground tactical side. And that's something I think we're doing at a level of fidelity and detail no dynamic campaign has ever done. It's going to be a very low level detail down to each unit, type of simulations of the ground battle and different kind of dispositions of the ground forces as well. And a key part of all of this is when we're generating these dynamic campaigns that is 100% live, and ATOs are updated and changed dynamically during the missions. So, of course, there's been dynamic campaigns for years and years now, but generally, for the most part, a lot of them essentially script out an ATO for 5 or 6 days ahead. And really doesn't matter what happens in that period. It's pretty much already scripted out and then plays out. Whereas we're trying to do something that's really never been done before and having a live ATO that, let's say we have that strike element, or let's say a seed element. And the seed element is then predicated on a strike element following behind it to hit something behind where those air defenses are. So if during the campaign that seed element fails to take out that SAM site, then obviously the ATO needs to be dynamically adjusted for that strike flight, so that strike flight has a high probability of making it to the target. So that's one of the big things we're working on right now.
Well, there'll be like a frontline logic, a resource logic,
absolutely.
and like a team of maneuver logic, all layered on top of each other.
Correct.
With the three-dimensional,
Yep.
consideration for,
Mhm.
everything from boots on the ground up to,
Yep.
you know, those bear bombers.
Yeah. And kind of the whole goal with this is if we're going to do it, we want to do it big. And we
Mhm.
don't want to just, copy something that's been done before. We're really trying to bring something new at a level of detail that's never been done before. And, myself and I think Nick have all, commented in the past that it's been a lot more work than expected, and it's taken a lot longer than expected. Um, you know, sad to say, it's not going to be ready for testing by the end of this year. It'll be ready when it's ready, but if we're going to do it, we want to do it right.
Yeah.
And we're not going to throw something out there that's just an absolute mess just because we don't want to wait any longer. And we have, some folks that are getting upset and angry that's not out yet.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah, it'll be out when it's ready. So yeah, I guess, one of the takeaways that I know people are asking if it's still going to come out this year. So I can give a definite answer. Unfortunately, sadly, I really wish it was ready for a, good external test round, but it's just not where we want it to be yet. And again, a lot of it has to do with a lot of the tactical level AI of the different mission sets.
I like that.
So that sounds like you guys actually do pay attention a lot to what the community comes up with.
Oh, we
And
read
puts-
everything. We read
Yeah.
everything.
and then but like in the sense of like like the mods out there, like
Yep.
these dynamic mods
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff like that's really cool because
Yeah. And there's some fantastic mods out there that, we've definitely taken notice of. Say, hey, yes, that's, something we should, consider into our dynamic campaign system. Oh, and another big element, which again, I know I've mentioned this in the past, of course, is the whole UI system of how the dynamic campaign system works, which is also, of course, based on the technology we've been able to develop for the dynamic campaign to make sure that the UI can take advantage of that. But Chaos, back to your other question about, I think it was about tracking.
Yeah. How do we make
resources.
it an enduring thing? So say, for example,
Mhm.
we got two examples. The first example is, me, Joe Schmo, I have an extra laptop sitting around. So I download, the standalone server, DCS server on my computer, and I host a server.
Mhm.
Or, I use a service like Fox 3.
Yep.
In both situations, power goes out, electricity goes out,
Mhm.
or server needs to be reset. Is there going to be a mechanism in there that saves your state to where, accidentally, somebody cuts your fiber line or whatever the case may be, and you lose all progress? Is there going to be an
yeah.
enduring state, mechanism built into that for, down the road once it is a multiplayer situation?
Well, yeah, and that's going to the player side, which I'm again not as nearly as familiar with, just because we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
On the single player side, as you might imagine, of course, those different states would be stored locally. For multiplayer, unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that of exactly how those states would be saved. Um,
But
I
it's
don't.
part of the roadmap, right? There's a box that says save state, work in
Yeah,
progress. Okay.
but again, that's mostly right now. We're focused on the single player side.
Yep.
And they may already have an answer how they're going to do that for the multiplayer. I just don't know off the top of my head right now.
So
I get-
yeah, go ahead, Scott.
I was going to say, I got a question that came from one of our listeners, viewers, that may fit in here, just as we're talking about this. The use of AI in developing the software and where you guys are going in the future. Is that something you guys are using to help with development, or is it something that's muddling it up? Are you guys incorporating that into
No,
DCS as it
my
advances?
understanding is that we're pretty much old-fashioned way. Most of the coding side of it is done by a human.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
So a kind of a hard
I'm sorry to
question
interrupt
here.
1 sec.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
no,
1
go ahead.
second. Just to clarify, that's when I'm talking about coding, I'm talking about, creating the code for the dynamic campaign. But we do have,
Yeah.
of course, AI strategic level and tactical level that we programmed that will be very important parts of the dynamic campaign system. Again, to determine, what industries produce what, once they're produced, where they ship to, And then from that shipping area,
great.
how are they then sent out to different tactical level units from the strategic side? And also, what are, primary ground objectives in terms of centers of force? And then, of course, like we talked about before, on the tactical level of ATOs, how you actually construct the ATOs to make sense in terms of the objectives of the strategic operations, and then even down to the lower level of that, of how each of the flights within a package operate. So there's a lot of AI going on from a very, very high level all the way down to a very tactical level.
I got a follow-up question for that. With the development of the Hercules, we've seen a huge remodel of the logistics system for
Yep.
DCS over the last year.
Yep.
Do you foresee that the dynamic campaign will also bring about that new technology or new implementation into other aspects of DCS? Will it bleed over into more parts of the game simulator?
Yeah, I would imagine so. A lot of the logistics on the tactical side, particularly for the C-130, I would first expect to see with other aircraft, maybe like the Chinook. But, naturally, excuse me, an important part of the dynamic campaign system is the whole logistical aspects of it, which we haven't done before in terms of, production of different munitions and aircraft and vehicles and things like that. And, how those are produced by materials, how they're shipped to where they need to be. That's going to be an all new level of logistics that we have to develop are developing for a dynamic campaign.
That's great. I think the logistics is kind of, until you get into a campaign or find something that can make use of it, it's kind of swept under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
But once it starts getting implemented correctly, which it's kind of on the server we're flying now, we've kind of made it dependent on logistics, and it's fun. People are, normally we have people join in, they're all joining in fighters and attack aircraft. And now every time we get on, half the players are in Chinooks, moving equipment. And it's kind of this hidden part of DCS that I think is emerging that changes the dynamic.
Yep. Well, I think, in terms of the mission sets, the logistics is going to make a very big difference from two perspectives. One, of course, is tasking, whether it's interdiction or deep strike, to take out enemy logistics. And then conversely, there's support for friendly logistics in terms of using something, again, like a C-130 or a Chinook or something like that, to support the transfer of logistics with a player in the loop from a depot level down to a tactical level.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's something that
attacking.
we do.
Go ahead.
I would say that's something that we do on our server now, and it's really neat because it brings the community together in like a very large way. Because now there's, besides just like, hey, I killed 3 Shilkas, so next time the helicopter guys don't get fly swatted out of the air. But now it's like, hey, we're running short on these logistics here. Like we ran out of what was one thing that we found out? The A10 guys ran out of racks for the
Lao 88s. I went to go load up an A10, and I'm like, yo, why can't I get my MAVDs on here? I can only put 1 on each station because I don't have any Lao 88s. I'm like, this sucks. Back to my 2-hour flight with more Lao 88s.
Well, I think it kind of touches on, at least for me, one of the biggest, and most important aspects of a dynamic campaign system compared to a staged single mission campaign is the cause and effect of it. Where in a dynamic campaign, whether you take out that extra tank or you take out that bridge, you take out that supply depot, in the next mission, it has a real world effect, within the larger context. Whereas with the way the campaigns are constructed right now, for the most part, it doesn't have that much of a bearing on the overall campaign.
Yeah. Well, see, we're using it offensively, but attacking the enemy's production facilities and supply chain and having that ripple down through.
Exactly.
That's awesome, because that'll change. It's not going to be the normal, like, go to the airfield, take out the anti-air threats, kill some tanks.
Yep.
The map moves. Like, you're going to have to think much more strategically about how to get to these production centers.
Yep.
And take them out. That's
Yeah,
cool.
and if you look at today's conflicts, you see what a massively important aspect of logistics are, both in protection of them and destruction of them. So,
That's cool.
for a good dynamic campaign, a good logistic systems, I think it's going to make or break a good dynamic campaign.
So final dynamic campaign question here. When you guys were deciding to develop a dynamic campaign,
Mhm.
was that something you guys always wanted to do, or is it because, again, this is kind of getting into like the harder questions here, is the fact that, there's other flight simulator games in the space that are pretty famous for having dynamic campaigns, and is it something you guys looked at and were like, oh, maybe we should probably have something like that, or has it been something that's always been on on the roadmap long
Or
term
was it a
for you guys?
player-based kind of, satisfaction request?
So it was more of a case of when I came on board full time with the team, geez, over 20 years ago now. It's something I was pushing for a long time. But in order to do such a system, we first, of course, need the engineers who really knew how to do it and the time and the budget to do it. And for a
Mhm.
long time, we just didn't have the bandwidth or even the know-how to do it. So it wasn't until a few years ago where we really had the know-how and knowledge to do it combined equally with the need for much better engaging gameplay that kind of pushed it finally over the line into full development.
Okay, that's
Excited to
pretty
see
cool.
it.
Yeah.
I have a question now. This is just personal. This is just me. I just want to know: is there a Vietnam map on the horizon?
I think at some point, I know there's a lot of fans out there that are very eager for a Vietnam map. One thing we have to keep in
You're talking to
mind,
3 of them right now.
yeah. It, you guys may not want to hear this, but the older aircraft and older maps don't nearly have the ROI as modern stuff. You're not even close.
Mm.
So, whether it's a World War II map or an older aircraft, if you can compare that to the more modern stuff, um, from a financial point of view and keeping the lights on, it's a much more uh, difficult proposition for us to put the time and resources against, where we could take that
Sure.
same time and resources for a more successful product. That's part of it. The other part, of course, which I've talked about in the past, is technology, like 3-level canopies, having high performance, particularly when you look at something like the Marianas map, where you have, a lot more detailed foliage. Those are big ones. So, right now the biggest focus, of course, is on completing the existing maps, like the Iraq and Afghanistan maps. But even as early as last week, we've already started talking about what the next 2 maps after that would be, which um, they're not going to be the Vietnam map. Again, I think it's at some point, but right now there's other maps that make more sense for us. One in particular, I think is going to be even a lot more popular than the Vietnam map. The other one, I think, will take people by surprise, but I think it's very timely in today's geopolitics that people are really going to dig it.
So about this time last year,
Mhm.
you did a video and you said that there was 2 brown maps in development and 2 green maps in development. And of course, we got those.
Yep.
How many maps are there right now in development that we don't know about, aside from the Balkans that just, stepped in last week?
Oh boy.
If you could, spill some beans.
In active development, that's pretty much it right now.
Oh no!
Yeah.
No, but
So-
what's in planning?
In active
you-
development. So there are a couple more maps that have contracts for in
Okay,
our plan, but not in active development. There's a big difference between the two.
I'll take
All
that.
right, Wags,
I'll take
blink
Okay.
blink twice if I'm correct. Blink twice if I'm correct. there's a Southeast Asia, like China, Taiwan map.
We'll see. That'd be a really interesting place.
Okay.
That would,
Yeah.
That'd be an
It's
interesting
green.
location.
It's green.
You know, of
I
course,
mean-
Korea is also another great opportunity for us.
oh,
Oh yeah.
yep.
So there's
Scud can fly his F-86 that way.
yeah, and of course, we have a lot of customers who would love to see a completely revamped Caucasus map with current
Yep.
technology. We have a lot of customers who would, also love to see an all new and much expanded Nevada map that would include the Fallon Range and Edwards. There's no lack of map options out there. It's more about time, resources, and ROI.
Someone
So-
who lived on the knitter for a good chunk of his military career, I 100% endorse, and I will go and campaign door to door for an updated knitter map. For
Yeah,
sure.
I think it'd be great. And, like I said before too, which I think some people missed, is if we were to do the knitter, it wouldn't be an upgrade. It would have to be done from scratch all again because the TDK or terrain development kit has changed so much from when that map was originally constructed years ago. We can't simply just upgrade it. It would have to be an all new effort.
It's a fun map. It's really, really pretty because it's a desert, right? It's the Nevada desert, but it's really pretty at dawn and dusk.
Yeah.
It's the shadows on the terrain. So I have a lot of fun in it. I think people shy away from it because it's not as populated, but we all
Well, I think
like
there's
to
so
plan
many
it a
areas
lot.
around it. Like I mentioned Fallon and Edwards, but you could also do the Grand Canyon. You could also do the NTC. There's a lot
Yep.
of really interesting things in that general area that can be included. That from recreational flying to like the 29 Palms ground force exercises. A lot of stuff you could do.
on the little hurt testing mission that I built for us that we fly, I actually created a little airfield out of Bicycle Lake in Fort Irwin, and you
Okay.
can go and do assault landings on the dirt
Nice.
strip out there.
Okay.
And yeah, because I was like, oh man, I spent so much time out there at
Yeah.
freaking Fort Irwin that I want to
Fort Irwin.
go there. Good old Fort Irwin.
I was stationed at Edwards, and I remember complaining about being in the middle of nowhere, and then I had to go out to Fort Irwin
Yeah.
for a couple days, and I never complained about anywhere I've been stationed or forced to live
Okay.
ever again. That place
guys-
is remote.
You guys are acting like Creech has got something other than a rundown casino.
Hey, you know what? That casino had the best fried clams. And I don't know why we trusted it, but we had fried clams at the casino all the time for lunch. It was-
Seafood at a small town casino in the desert. That's
Yeah.
bold. It's brave.
We always did breakfast there because we'd go out and we'd do a night patrol. We do dismounted, mounted, and urban ops out in the wadis because we had full villages and everything built out there. And then we'd do 12, 14-hour patrols. And then we'd be like, all right, breakfast time, so we pack up all the training gear, then go to the casino for breakfast. And it's always hilarious because there's always like the three people who are always grinding the penny slots, and then there's like 50 dudes and 50 dudes and desert camouflage just rolling in, just beat to shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And someday we do study level Abrams, having something like NTC would be a
But
great.
study level ground would be bad.
Oh my
Care-
gosh.
Careful what you say there, because you're
I
gonna get
got-
everybody riled up about that.
I got the goosebumps. That's one of the that's one thing. I don't know if you've heard us mention it before, but in previous episodes we've had the wish list of full fidelity ground vehicles.
Oh yeah.
To where we can pack us three idiots inside of an Abrams or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, it's certainly something on our radar we want to do, but something you probably hear a lot in this video is me saying about time and resources.
Yeah.
If you want to do something, where are you taking this time and resources away from?
So
That's
if
that's a good
people
balance.
really want a full fidelity Abrams, what they need to do is go buy all the modules and maps.
That would help.
immediately.
Buy them all, and that's your path to helping get that full fidelity.
It would help.
I feel like
yeah.
I'm halfway there. I'm definitely halfway there.
Yeah, there's not much left. Especially with all of our episodes, where we're like, hey, let's try this out. We're like, Gotta buy it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh gosh.
So-
All right. So you've alluded to it a few times, balancing,
Yep.
return on investment, a few things like that.
Yep.
This question is more for you on like the DCS professional side.
Okay.
Because
I
for
really
people
can't
who,
talk too much about professional side though, but go ahead.
well, you'll see where
Okay.
we're going.
Okay.
And for everybody who doesn't know, Wags is basically the head of DCS, which is
I wouldn't say that.
you're the
So we-
face of. We
The
say the face of.
I would say
There we
the
go.
face of, yeah. So
The
we
face
have
of DCS.
just to be clear, so Nick Gray is the owner and director of the company. He's kind of the buck stops there.
Mhm.
Then you have Kate, who is our COO, and she kind of manages the day-to-day operations. And then me as the senior producer, that a lot of it was maybe about the vision and
Mhm.
what we need to do to get there.
What I was alluding to was we have Nick Gray, Eagle Dynamics. Then
Yep.
we have you, DCS, and then we have the other branch, the
CS?
systems.
yep,
Yeah.
MDS, right?
Well, there's a separate company called MCS,
MCS. That's what I was.
And-
Yep,
and they-
MCS.
and they contract with DCS. Or
But you
Eagle
guys
Dynamics.
are. It's kind
two
of like
different
a.
companies.
But you guys
Nick
all
owns
fall
both.
under. Yep, you guys fall under
Correct.
ED. So when it comes
No.
to us, oh no,
No.
he doesn't.
No.
They're not under MCS is not part of Eagle Dynamics.
Oh,
Two different companies.
Dang. Okay. Corrected as I was.
If you were.
As I was. Let me go stand in a corner. For
Knife hand
DCS.
yourself.
For DCS, how do you balance a game where the core is produced by Eagle Dynamics while several third-party studios also develop content? So, you guys, I think it's a good structure because you guys focus on building the core and then to give players more content, more, vehicles to drive, more airplanes. You've gone out and created this network of people who are all driving towards the same end goal. How do you balance that within DCS?
Well, the analogy I always have is if you look at something like Microsoft, we construct Windows, and then each module is like an application, Word, Excel, so on. So it's our responsibilities to do the operating system aspect of the game, of course. In terms of the modules, generally what happens is there's a core set of aircraft that we have in our larger plan that we intend to develop. Generally, as you probably have seen, it's either the World War II aircraft or more fourth generation Western aircraft, or, of course, we had the MiG-29 more recently. Whereas I think the third parties tend to more focus on maybe
The in between.
other fourth party, or in particular, like third generation aircraft, say Century Series fighters, and those type of aircraft that are available. So there's no hard and fast rule saying, okay, Eagle Dynamics will do this type of product and third parties will do this type of product. It's more of a case that either an existing or a potential third party generally comes to me with a proposal, a very detailed proposal. And then Kate, Nick, and I sit down, we look at that proposal and how feasible it would be, one, in terms of gelling with our existing planning for DCS products, and does it require new technologies that would be needed to put into the base product, which would essentially be on our shoulders, and that we'd have to put time and resources into developing. And then, of course, there's always, evaluating the developer itself with a past history to make sure it's a company that we could, work, well with and have a good professional history.
On that note, you spark a question I have when you talk about additional technology that would be required to support whatever module is being proposed.
Yep.
And you guys are in work now on the F-35. So that's starting to reach into a much deeper
Mhm.
EM world, electromagnetic.
Mostly the
It,
sensory fusion aspects of it. Yeah.
so is that something you guys are having to develop, or is there
Yeah.
a path for
Some of it's
a more
already
realistic
there.
EM?
Obviously, there's more work to do, but some of the foundational stuff in terms of particularly the sensor fusion, we've actually tackled some of the core stuff when we've done Link 16. So that will have some benefits as well. But particularly on the EM side, yeah, there's a fair amount of work to do on that.
That's something that once you guys get that flushed out, will ripple down to other modules. Something more than just a barrage jamming type system.
Oh, in terms of the electronic battlefield, well, ECM and counter ECM systems, that would have to be a whole new development, which is something we're looking into. We actually have a couple guys on the team doing a lot of research into having a clear understanding of what exactly how that would and should operate within DCS. And then once we have a clear understanding of what we want to do, then it goes to more the engineering side of how we'd actually do it. And then ideally, then once that's all done, that would actually be essentially an API within the larger DCS SDK that then other developers could take advantage of.
Okay. Yeah, I know that's something I've talked to. I haven't seen it a lot, but I have a few friends that's their world. Like
Yep.
they're electronic warfare officers in the Air Force.
Yeah,
And that's been one of the things that they've been asking for, talking about when we sit down and chit chat over what we want to see.
Yeah.
Of course, the E-dubs with their beeps and squeaks.
Yep.
They feel like they're a little left out there.
Yeah.
Shout out
Well,
to
there's no
Peyton.
doubt there's a lot more we could do on that simulation side of the game. No doubt about that.
That's probably pretty difficult though, because you guys also have to definitely dance that line of like,
It
you know,
is.
well, we
just like-
can't put classified stuff out there.
Yeah. Just like everything, we have to be able to point to a public source.
Right.
And ECM even more so. And
Yeah.
given my former employer, I was given access to a lot of information in this area. So I have to be super careful that anything we put in the game I can actually point to rather than something based on my own knowledge from what I learned in years past.
Yeah.
How did you? That's actually a funny question. So how did you go from your former employment to where you are now? How did you like? That's quite the jump.
Mhm. Yeah.
From-
Well, so for those
like-
who don't know,
He likes
so-
video games and guitars. It's natural.
So yeah, always grew up playing flight sims, and then I spent 10 years as an intelligence analyst at CIA, and during that time I still loved playing flight sims, and a couple companies like Eagle Dynamics, well actually the publisher was SSI at the time, reached out asking if I could do some testing. And I used to play a lot of Warbirds online. And a friend I made there, Chris Martin Smut, he was a designer at Jane's Combat Sims, and they said, "Well, hey, why don't you come up for the day to see how we make the games?" And they were working on, I think, Strike Eagle at the time, and they were just up in Baltimore. Of course, I was in the Washington area, so I went up there for the day. And at the end of the day, Mike McDonald, the chief designer of the studio, said, "Well, Matt, why don't you come work for us?" So it was kind of one of those, pivotal forks in the road, so to speak, where, I had a very comfortable, stable intelligence job, but had very, very little passion for the work anymore after 10 years.
Yeah.
Whereas the other option was something that I had a true passion for, which was a lot of fun, but being in private industry, particularly the games market, which is there's few less stable professions out there. Now I lucked out with Eagle Dynamics is by one of the most stable games company I've ever seen before. And Eagle Dynamics has been around since mid 1990s. I don't know of a single flight sim studio that has been around even maybe half as long at this point. Now, of course,
true.
the brand like Microsoft Flight Sim, but that different studios over many different years. As a single studio, I think it's one of the most successful things about Eagle Dynamics. It's just the longevity of the company.
With an enduring product too, because you
Yeah.
guys don't have DCS1, DCS2, DCS3,
Correct.
DCS25, you know?
Yeah. And that's a really interesting point too. I think maybe some folks lose sight of, unlike other products, that, charge for the base product maybe once every 2 or 3 years. The base product is always free, always. So any revenue we make to keep the lights on, it has to be through the modules. It's never about the base product that we just don't sell it.
That's how we always get people in. We're like, hey, it's free, and there's
Yeah.
free airplanes you can fly, and then there's the
Yeah.
community made stuff that's free,
Absolutely.
and then we get them on the
Yep.
on the drug.
Yeah.
As a- as a-
The black hole of DCS.
As a fellow former intelligence analyst, I just want to say it's pretty crazy to see, another one of us leave the small dark cold room and into another small dark cold room.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll have to talk offlines at some point about,
Yeah, you
because
bet.
we might have crossed through the same kind of areas
Oh
at
yeah,
some point
I
in
did a
time.
fair amount of TDYs to different units.
Mm.
Like one of my favorite ones, I actually got the opportunity to audit Top Gun. So
Oh, that's
that was very-
cool.
that was super interesting. So
Did you ever
basically,
did
Go
you
ahead.
ever do any work for the continent of Africa?
say again?
Did you ever do any work for the continent of Africa?
No.
Okay.
Most of my work
No.
was, I'll just say, centered in the Mideast.
I
Yeah.
spent my last like 10 years was all down there, and I did a trip down there as a fusion cell guy, as a human intelligence
Okay.
analyst.
Yep.
So
Cool.
that was fun.
So back to DCS.
Go ahead.
Back to DCS.
Yeah,
Dude, we're talking about the development of the ground game, Fifi.
yeah, I know. That's
Um,
but that's kind of crazy. That's
On the topic of, again, you've said this so many times, you said you'll say it again, keeping the lights on. And on the topic of balance,
Mhm.
what's the balance? What's the effort there, or the dynamic between creating new content versus upgrading existing content, and how do you guys weigh that?
Right. So I hate to sound like a businessman, but a lot of it is about diminishing returns. That, biggest bang for the buck, basically it comes down to. In that, we could spend a huge amount of time, resources, and capital on doing something that maybe only a very small handful of customers ever use or appreciate. That's not a good investment, where we can take that same time and resources and putting it into something else that, much larger number of customers would appreciate and enjoy. So a lot of it is the balance of what's going to have the biggest bang for the buck in terms of customer enjoyment.
How does the modding community play into that? I mean, that's
Mm.
when you've got good, capable people in the modding community, that's kind of like
Mhm.
almost like free
I
work,
like
right?
that.
Well, obviously, the big one, of course, is Masoon, and then more recently, Current
Hill.
Hill. And that's been a huge, benefit for them, for us, and for the community. It's just been a win-win all the way around. In that, yeah, we could do those models, but he can do them much faster at a much cheaper price than we can. So yeah, it makes total sense, and I'm really happy that in terms of these 3D models, it's been able to work so well, and we'll continue doing these with them. We'll probably do them in smaller packs over time. That way, we can have them out faster, rather than doing larger packs that will be done in much slower batch drops. So we're working on a couple right now. Actually, no, I'm sorry, they already got released, the frigate as well as the Tiger, and we're already working with him on a new Cold War SAM, which, when done, I think some of you guys will figure out what it is. But if we can get it in there, it'll finally round out all of the Soviet SAM systems in DCS and be a really great SAM system, particularly for the Cold War Germany map. There's a ton of
I
other stuff, too.
appreciate you saying that, but there's a deep down inside of me, there's just nothing excited about a new SAM threat. It's like more stuff to kill me.
So another big area is this is one of my white whales. I really want to start to flesh out more of the PRC order of battle, whether it's J16s, J10s, J20s, and basically their versions, double-digit SAM systems. So I think there's a lot of growth we could do for the PRC as well, which is also
super relevant too.
very big market for us at the same time.
Well, especially with how you were talking about how, the modern product is what brings in the buck,
It does.
If you can build out that new theater,
exactly.
So with that question, because that's a perfect segue into with that question.
Glad I could help.
And especially wanting to develop that kind of stuff like Southeast Asia, West Pacific stuff.
Yep.
F-18D model. I think I'm in that camp. Sure, the Super Hornet would be really cool, but a legacy 2-seat D model, especially since there was another extremely popular 2-seat aircraft that unfortunately is going through a weird moment right now. But obviously, you're talking about return of investment on things and stuff, and the F-18s, obviously, we're huge proponents of it. That's like one of the first jets that we always recommend everybody to get.
That's boat stuff.
What would it take? How much money do I need to raise to get a second seat in the F-18?
We would be much more likely to do a Foxtrot than a Delta, particularly a Foxtrot with a very early lot with the APG-73 still, which is, obviously there are differences, but has a huge amount of commonality with the avionics, sensors, and weapon systems as our legacy Hornet right now.
If you guys were to develop it, you would instantly have 3 customers right here. Full new module, buy it from the ground up. We got you.
There'd be a lot more. I think
that's $210 right there.
Yeah, just like a Delta. Yeah, it's a
coffee.
That'd be a tough sale.
Yeah, but it makes sense to stick with something that's similar to what you have. Just
well,
have to not develop all these new systems,
technology, and just like we did also more recently for aircraft like Black Shark, the F5. There's also, of course, the possibility of doing upgraded versions of the Viper and the Hornet up to 2025 or later standards as well, with maybe even later OFPs, so new sensors, new weapons. There's a lot of growth potential in those areas as well.
I like the upgraded F5. I thought it was worth the small charge to get a better version of that airplane. I will throw some shade on it though.
Okay.
It is so clean inside. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
It needs to be dirty. It's an old F5 and it looks like it's right off the factory floor.
Yeah.
So we need
dirt on the gauges.
Inside the special menu, we need clean and then dirty option.
We'll call it. We'll name it like a Taylor Swift album. We'll call it Scud's version. It's just a Scud's version of every aircraft, and it's just if someone just comes in with a coffee can of just dirt, just throws it across the screens, and he'll be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someday I would like to see, maybe another version of the F5, because right now we do the F5 E3, which is the Swiss F5. The only thing that's missing right now, which we just are having all sorts of issues getting good data on, is the INS system as well as the radio stack. Hopefully at some point we can get some good data on those and include those. But, maybe in the future we could do, the EM, which is a Brazilian version, which had the refueling probe, it had Maverick capability, extra Sidewinder pods, even a glass cockpit. So maybe at some point, if time and resources are available, but even more so references. I'm not even sure any references are available in that version of the F5.
Again, you got 3 customers lined up right now.
But, right now, we're not a big fan of taking the E3 Swiss version and just start making a complete Frankenstein F5 and adding stuff on it that just doesn't make any sense for the version we're modeling. I know a lot of people are going to disagree on that. But
no, it's true to the product, right?
Yeah, because the rivet counters would.
As much as possible, we really try to do our best to keep it as accurate as possible. Of course, every now and then we're going to have to, make some departures for one reason or another. But where we can, we try to keep to a much more specific version if possible.
I think at the core, that's what we've been talking about the entire time. Quality.
Yeah. Well, it's also about
quality,
feature creep.
accuracy.
It's, in terms of business development, it's also about avoiding feature creep as well. Because if you start saying, well, what about this feature? What about that feature? Then it turns into an unending development loop that eventually then you just have all sorts of RFI problems again.
All right, we're back. We took a quick break, make sure we didn't have any technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Top off our coffee and drinks.
Scud and Jimmy have been drinking too much coffee, so they had to poop.
Them drinks.
All right. That was, I mean, I know we throw a poop joke in every episode, but that was like, that was
lowest level engagement. That's the lowest level drop we've ever done.
Hey, you know what? I saw my moment, and I just had to Fox Brown that one right on out there. So.
No, it's not Fox Brown. It's still Fox. It's still Fox Blue 2.0, bud. Mark 2.
Mine says unable to start recording.
What?
Yeah.
We can just leave the room and restart the room.
It'll all catch up. It's fine.
All right.
It's recording.
We good?
Yeah. It's something to probably do with the cloud server, so we're okay.
All right. Well, then we'll just roll with it. That was the technical difficulty we're trying to fix. We're back. It's still there. Hopefully this all works out. We'll roll with it. When we left, we were talking about some player wish list stuff, but I want to ask Wags, what's one module that you really want to see that's not in development or in works, but just floating out there in the ether waiting for somebody to jump on?
Well, we don't have the SDK to do it right now, but probably a study level Abrams.
Dude,
Okay.
This is the best episode we've ever.
Just because, obviously be cool, but it just add a all new element in product line and grow DCS in all new directions. But like I think I've said in other interviews, there's different elements that need to be done first. One, of course, is a much more detailed X-ray damage model system for ground units. Another is terrain deformation. And third is much, much more detailed ground mesh and textures, destructibility. Obviously, in a flight sim, generally doesn't have the level of detail as a first-person shooter. And I don't think we need a first-person shooter level. But for a simulation ground game, it would need to be more so than what we have right now.
Talking about that.
Go ahead.
So recently, in the recent years, there's a big update. The Abrams that's in there now looks absolutely beautiful, especially with the new current hill.
Yep.
Is there any? So one thing that combined arms users, kind of have like a little quarrel with is how it's really not great in VR. Is there any way to get that fixed or any plan to get that fixed? Because flat panel, it's pretty good. I like it for what it is, for being, DCS centric, flying, having so many drivable vehicles. My favorite's the SA8, hide in a garage, pop it out, turn that radar on, fry scud.
Yep.
It is, there's stories.
Yeah, so something like that, it would have to be essentially Combined Arms 2.0. Combined Arms was done many years ago. It's actually part of a professional project well before VR became popular. So the whole structure of how the interfaces and screens are done just doesn't account for VR in the slightest, and that's why it's just because of the age of that particular module. But we have some internal design documents for Combined Arms 2, and chief among those features definitely would be VR support, no doubt about that.
Love that. That's my hesitancy in getting it is when I'm playing DCS, I have to move over to a sim rig with all my gear, and then
Gotcha.
I can't flat panel back and forth.
Yep.
On what Jimmy said though, yeah, he's laughing that he can hide his SA8 in a hangar and shoot people down. And thank goodness for the Germany map having destructible buildings, because that was happening and everyone was complaining. They're like, well, it's hiding in a hangar, and I'm like, you guys know the hangars are destructible, and then everyone just bombs the shit out of the hangar that he's in and collapses it on him. So that was great.
Red Force, baby.
Yeah.
And in terms of aircraft, then probably the Gripen.
Which one? The Gripen?
Gripen. It's pronounced Gripen.
Is that?
Always thought it was pronounced Gripen, but it's
Me too.
actually, it turns out it's pronounced Gripen.
Be
I
creeping
have no
and
idea.
creeping.
I know.
You're the one that should know.
I
Yeah.
should.
Not- Mr.
Not
Married
until,
to-
not until it's a DCS product.
If you hear me try to speak Swedish, it sounds really bad. It's rough. Like because there's like two different types of Europeans. There's like the Europeans that like get excited that you try to speak their language, and then they try to help you, and then there's the Europeans that are like, we could just speak English. It's okay.
Yeah.
Swedes are in that we could just speak English
Yeah, it's
realm.
like my wife is Japanese, and if I ever try to speak Japanese, she's like, "It's okay, don't bother."
Okay. I appreciate you trying. And then
Yeah,
you're like,
nice
"Oh,
effort.
so
Pretty
cute.
much, yeah.
We're talking about player wish list stuff, and we
Okay.
just talked offline about this for a minute.
Mhm.
But one of the things that we hear in the groups that we talk to a lot is multi-crewed World War II bomber.
Yeah.
And I know that's not necessarily in the works on your guys' end, but there is,
Mhm.
and we've talked about it in the past,
Yep.
the Lancaster, Project Lancaster. And you want to talk to like where
Well,
that's at, or what you guys have you guys talked to each other? And
Yeah, we're in touch, and we're just kind of waiting for the project to be further along, and then we'll do a full evaluation. And kind of like we talked about earlier about the different things that go into signing up a third party. And I think the most important thing is compared to years past, we are much more careful about third parties we work with now to make sure that not only are they technically proficient and know the product and the tool, but also they're professional, honest, company that we can rely on in the future.
And I'm sure as the games develop too, right? Because 20 years of 20 years of DCS, 25.
Yeah, we're 22 or 23 now.
As the game improves, I'm sure that the level you expect from these developers
Oh,
becomes
absolutely.
a much higher.
Yeah, and it's a little tough too because I'm not going to go into names, but there's like one third party project they've been working on for quite a long time. And when they originally presented the art, it kind of matched where we were with DCS at that point, which is perfectly fine. But if you can compare it to now, when you look at something like the Fulcrum or the Phantom, it's not nearly at that level. So we basically have to go back to them and say, well, hey, I'm sorry, but this just isn't at the level of what customers expect at this point.
Does that
Yeah.
play into the modules that you guys have put out? I love the Huey. God, it's such a
And it's
great
in their
module.
cockpit. And that's the
Yeah,
cockpit we really want. Actually, even external. It's one of the kind of the top upgrades that we're looking at. And it's actually been a very successful project for us as well.
It's such
You
a
know,
great module.
That actually brings the question up because I think it was Fade who asked that question for it, where he was how do you guys prioritize which modules you're gonna upgrade or pull out of
A lot of it's
out of early
based
development,
on
things
the
like that.
install base. Because as you might imagine, the larger install base of the base product, the more likely it will be for a customer then to buy that upgrade.
So you guys can track whether the module's been bought or installed or like
Of
both
course,
kind
yeah.
of thing.
Yep.
Okay. Oh wow,
Yep.
that's interesting. All right,
Yeah,
well,
but
I'm gonna
most
go
are
back
just
through
based
and
on raw
install.
sales. Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna go back through and install all my modules again because I uninstalled the ones that I don't want.
You
So-
have 2 terabytes just for DCS now, dude.
But the big number is
know.
actually the raw sales. That's one of the big factors on determining whether or not we do an update or upgrade, I should say.
Yeah.
So
Well, if you have a module that you want upgraded, buy it for all your friends.
So, the Huey, the F5, Black Shark are all good examples of products that sold quite well for us. And we had such a large number of players that already owned it that were looking for bringing it up to more current standards. It just made sense.
How's the Chinook
Huey's-
sales look?
Good. The problem with transport aircraft like this, the Huey is kind of the exception, I think, because it was very early in DCS product lines. There wasn't nearly as much competition for modules as there is now. Something like a utility helicopter is just a tougher sell. It's been good, don't get me wrong, but not as good as, say, something like the Apache, for instance.
Yeah, it's a harder sell to
It is. Yeah.
move stuff rather than
Yeah,
shoot
because
stuff.
most DCS customers, they want the pew 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 aspect of it. If people want to just generally fly from point A to point B, there's other uh, platforms out there with some really cool things that we can't do that they can do really well.
So this is actually, so speaking of things that people can or cannot do really well.
Mhm.
So when you guys are developing a module and you're like, okay, maybe we need to put some player aids in here to make it
Mhm.
more accessible to people, because open secret, I absolutely am the worst helicopter pilot and absolutely horrendous in it. My very first helicopter I ever
That's
bought
no
was a
secret.
Hind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, there's like in certain aircraft, like in the I always recommend like the Mustang, or
Mhm. Yep.
even the Mosquito has it too, like has like the rudder assist
Yep.
in there to
Yep.
help people out. Is there maybe that's probably a lot more coding than, it's easier for me just to say, hey, why don't you guys just put some sort of assist in there to help people be able to fly it?
Yep.
And so it's selectable, so you turn it on and off.
Yeah.
Would that help with accessibility and maybe sales in that sense?
It does, particularly for helicopters, which, unlike fixed wing aircraft, it's just kind of unnatural in how you control it. Having auto anti-torque pedal is a huge one. And we plan to still do that, particularly for the Apache. The problem, but the fact is that we can't do that until we first complete the realistic rotor and tail rotor model. Because if
Okay.
we adjust it or do code for an easy mode, then we're gonna have to do it all over again when the flight model, the realistic version, is all done. But having an option for, say, automatic anti-torque, absolutely. Because a lot of people, they don't have rudder pedals, or they can't use them like me, or they don't have a twist. Twist grip's really difficult to use, I think, for anti-torque pedals.
Right.
You need an option for people who don't want to shell out, $200 for, a good set of rudder pedals. Yep.
Yeah, especially on the rotor wing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not using it occasionally when you maneuver, but holding the pedal the whole time.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, for like me, I just because I've done it for many, many years, I just use the mini stick X-axis on my throttle as my anti-torque.
Your TDC slew.
Yeah. Yeah. And that works well for me, but it took years.
I'm trying to wrap my brain around how it must be a lot of practice to get used to that.
Yeah, so all the videos in the Apache, that's just me using the X-axis on the slew stick.
So what's funny is one of my favorite throttles that I ever used was my very first one. It was the HOTAS one, or the T-Flight one, or it was like a $60.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember.
And
Thrustmaster
but it
T-Flight one.
has
Yeah.
but it has like, no joke, like paddles on the
Right.
back.
Yeah. That's good. That'd be a good
And I
one.
was like super accurate with that all the time.
Yeah.
And then I upgraded and
Yeah.
therefore downgraded my ability to fly
Gotcha.
because of that.
Right.
I think we should move into the guns hot portion,
boy.
which are Wags, you've seen the episodes, hopefully you remember, maybe not. It's questions you haven't seen yet that are short one or two word responses.
Okay.
Fifi's
Meant to be
gonna-
funny. Meant to be funny.
Fifi's gonna run through those.
I don't even see the questions either. Like, the guys come up with the questions, and then I just have to deliver them.
I'm part of the show. I don't get any. I'm part of the raw reaction of the questions, and
So, all right, here we go.
We came up with these a long time ago, so I don't remember all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is gonna be fun. All right, I'm not even gonna skim through these. I'm not even gonna try to pick them. Okay, here we go. Guns hot. So, be honest. Have you ever crashed a DCS aircraft so hard you thought about deleting your own dev branch?
Yeah, actually, I think learning to land the 109, I got so frustrated with my inability to do so I definitely rage quit a few times.
Okay. So when you close your eyes at night, do you see patch notes? Do you just kind of mumble about patch notes in your sleep?
No, actually, lately I've been dreaming about arc raiders too much.
I'm
Approved.
gonna skim through because some of these are kind of fun. So how many developers does it take to change a light bulb at DCS headquarters?
Boy, I'm not going to make any news here on this one. Let me see. How do I want to answer this? As long as the instructions are in Russian, 1. If in English, 10.
Oh. So do you guys ever plan on doing a module release, doing it via TikTok dance?
Sorry, say again?
So do you plan on announcing a module release via TikTok dance? I think it'd be fun to watch.
To not
Watch
mind
you
about
guys.
that.
We'll get 9line to do it, actually.
I'm not going to do it. No.
I can't wait for the hate mail from 9line about this.
It'll come
Oh,
in
yeah.
meme.
Yeah, it'll come with a meme. So if someone completes a full cold start tutorial without crying once, they get a special skin.
Yeah, I'll give him a Hello Kitty skin. Okay.
All right, last one. Last one. Would you rather fight one SU-27 sized mosquito or 100 mosquito sized Su-27s?
1.
The one big mosquito.
One big mosquito.
Oh man.
Nice. I like that. That's fun.
Good questions.
Oh man. Back to wish list. Let me throw 3 things at you. Let me throw 3 things at you just to put in your little notepad. Put in your hope diary. Put in your little to-do list.
I'm sure we've seen
P38.
1,000 times on the forum.
Oh, 100%. P38, B17, AH1.
What version of AH1?
Ooh, I wasn't prepared for that. Just
Okay.
Everybody's going to talk about the Venom, but
If it's
I
the
want
whiskey, then that would be the whiskey. If an older model, then it'd be the P38.
P38 would be so cool.
Gosh, both of those.
That would be a lot of fun. And B17's iconic. And
I
those
want
would both fit
B17.
really
I
well.
want me and the boys load up 3-hour flight. Hand the controls over to Bombardier. We got one dude asleep in the back on a gun. We have to call and be like, "Bro, wake up! We got 109s on us."
Yeah. The big thing that keeps me from voting B17 is actually goes back to the gameplay element, in that there would, for me at least, there need to be a overarching strategic campaign level of 8th Air Force over Germany.
Jimmy, get on it. Jimmy, get on it. You have a new job. You're now officially an unpaid intern at Aerodynamics. So if you just
Hell yeah, I'll start working on that one.
Yeah, I think the other issue would be people. If the numbers are really like that. I mean, I'm not doubting you, but since the numbers are really like that, where the majority of people are single player still.
Oh yeah.
You got to think about AI gunners on the B-17.
Oh yeah,
yep, absolutely.
And creating that whole.
Which we already have right now. Granted, there's
right.
room for improvement. But yeah.
If you guys can just dial down the Red 4 AAA a little bit for us, programs.
It was already quite a bit, both, and also not just the accuracy, but even I think more important in the reaction time. I think a lot of videos I've seen, it's people doing really dumb things like driving directly at the AAA site, which gives the AAA gunner almost no.
Where are you going, PP?
Or they're spending way too long on the run and just saying, "Please kill me." Now, again, I don't think there's certainly room for further improvement, but there's already been a fair amount of improvement. But I think almost as equally, there also has to be correct tactics on going after AAA too.
Right, fine. I'll fly better. It just goes back to fly good, don't suck.
Do better.
Do gooder.
Iron Mike told Fifi the same thing. He's like, or you could just fly better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just don't suck. Fly good, don't suck.
Fly
Hmm.
good, don't suck.
This is my proverbial throw the tea in the harbor moment. Then with that, so
So let's go into a section that we want to call Wags the Dude. Not your professional career, Wags the video game player. First question that we didn't really get to, which we wanted to do an introduction, but we kind of, skipped that because everybody knows who you are, is when you were flying as a player, as a customer, what are your go-to modules? And looking for really like the go-to Warbird, Rotor Wing, and then, fast pointy nose jet.
Yep. So usually every Sunday, actually right about now, I do my DCS Fun Time fly, and it's always in VR.
As it should be.
As it should be. And it's usually the Viper and the Apache I spend most of my time in.
Mm.
And then I'll on different servers. Or sometimes I'll jump into the Hornet and jump into the, oh God, what's it called? I always forget the name of it. It's basically a BFM server.
oh, the dogfight server.
Yeah, it's a dogfight server, but it has a different. It's not called dogfight server.
Is it
Oh,
Growling
shit.
Sidewinder?
No,
No.
No.
I do fly sometimes on his, but not as much as I used to. I
You should
enjoy
come-
more the campaign type dynamic campaign.
Less of the grinder.
You should come check out ours. You should come fly on the 56. That's a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
I'll even fly with under Wags.
No, so 100%. With our current
I
Cold
think it's
War,
Mo Betta.
Mo Betta.
Yeah,
Oh, I'd be looking
For
for
that
Mo
one.
Betta.
Yeah, I have to look for that.
If
one.
yeah. So
If
a
we
buddy of
could-
mine. Oh, sorry, he's a former Hornet pilot, and he and I will often fly on there and do BFM. And even though I've been flying DCS for decades, he just literally schools me every
Yeah,
freaking
I
time.
can
It's
imagine.
just so
It's just
embarrassing.
not fair.
It's just embarrassing. I'm like, how are you? You must be using some kind of cheat or something. But he
like,
also,
bro,
he-
I make this game.
yeah, he actually taught BFM at the RAG in Lemoore, and yeah, it's just incredible what you can do with that kind of knowledge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you absolutely should. If you have time, jump in and fly with us sometime. Right now,
Yeah,
we're running a Cold War campaign, full
Okay.
logistics and Cold War
Nice.
airplanes, but it's always changing. Plus, we do Warbird Wednesdays and
Okay.
just regular things.
Dude, the
Yeah.
Warbird Wednesdays that we did 3 weeks ago. So for period, it's right after the invasion of France, and we're kind of in that front line era of aerial combat, and the mission starts at I think 3:30 in the morning. So all of the distant airfields that the Axis Power still control has all the searchlights running and everything, and it was like the first time we've done a evening start to Warbird Wednesday with searchlights, and it was like cinematic just to see the light cones coming off the ground and everything. And
blinding you when you're trying to attack.
Well, how about
Yeah.
once we get the LA7 out, which is coming up rather soon, I'll jump on World War II server with you guys, and that way I'll have a leg up because I actually know the aircraft pretty well at that point.
That'll be fun. The guys are
And-
pretty cool, so you'll have a good time with the guys here.
Yeah.
That would be
We're-
good.
We're used to seeing some larger personalities come through, so you won't get bugged too much.
it's a bro date.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
see if Big Nui and Nine Line will join me too.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Bring the whole crew.
Oh. I'd just do it just to shoot down 9-line, just for all the memes that he uses for.
9 Line's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
We usually get
Yeah.
usually get a reaction per episode with just a meme or a GIF, and that's how we know if we hit the mark or not.
Actually, it
Oh.
was like one of the episode or two ago. Fifi even said that he's like, we haven't had a meme from 9line in a while, and like the day that episode dropped, he was dropping memes on us.
There you go.
Yeah. Another question from the Wags, the dude.
Okay.
What's your favorite Reddit conspiracy? And it doesn't have to be DCS related.
Oh,
It could be.
it's definitely going to be DCS related. What would it be? trying to think.
Denver, the Denver airport one is my favorite.
Yeah.
The-
Yeah, it's not DCS, but just the basic ones, whether it's moon landing, 9/11 being inside job, Epstein files not being a hoax. Those are probably the three silliest things I've still seen on Reddit.
BV, did you say the Denver airport? Did you see what they did with
Yeah.
their construction?
Oh, with the almost like a Nazi symbol
No. Well, there's a lot of
there's
like
that.
conspiracies about the airport, but
with a
what
horse.
they're doing construction. Yeah, the horse
Okay.
with the red eyes and
Yeah.
the
Well,
the
you know
weird
the original
statues.
statue. Well, you know the original horse statue fell
Oh, when-
over on its designer who was out there expecting it, and then they picked it back up.
Yeah.
and put it back up. And then there's like the horsemen, the four horsemen of the apocalypse paintings all through the airport.
Yeah, I was going to say there's like murals that generate all sorts of conspiracies as well.
So they were
that's my
doing
favorite.
construction at the airport, and some of the signs, like you expect a sign that says, "Pardon our mess, we're doing construction." They put signs up that were playing into the conspiracy. It would be like signs up like, "Are we building a Chick-fil-A or is it a lair for the lizard people?" And these signs were all over the Denver airport.
That's good. That's
all their
cool.
construction
Oh,
signs.
good for them.
Stand by for the new Illuminati headquarters or something like that.
Oh, good.
That is a
Love that they played into it.
If you're ever
fantastic.
through there in your adventures, I expect pictures.
So yeah, actually, no, I think probably the biggest conspiracy that gives me a laugh is still aliens at Grim Lake.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I fly over there all the time on in DCS, and I don't see any. So it's oh man. You know what? Now I gotta go searching through like the mod hub and see if I can find like little flying saucers. Someone's made if you guys like link me something in the comments about like flying saucers in the mod hub, and we can recreate Independence Day. We can have Glue be Randy Quaid.
So my favorite
one of
DCS conspiracy, and it comes up every year right around now, where we
said
always
it.
have a fair amount of sales, is that Eagle Dynamics is having so many sales, they must be going out of business. And I've seen this conspiracy every year since about 2017 now.
Like a bad mattress store. So every
It's
year
fire
they have to do
sale.
another-
It's
Yeah,
closing.
they're going out of business. They have no more money. Yeah, I see. Yeah, that always gives me a chuckle.
Speaking of
Oh,
mods,
Get all your
on
modules
mods,
now.
one of my favorite mods from the community section was back when the whole weather balloon thing was happening, and you could get a weather balloon and put it into the
Oh,
missions,
yeah, I didn't
and
see
you can
that
go
one.
out and shoot down your weather balloons.
Okay.
That's a fun one.
That would be cool. Yeah, you can get that one raptor kill.
Yep, the one.
I was going to ask this earlier and I totally forgot. So it's kind of belong back in the past, but the intro to the game, like when you're at the menu and you're in the hangar, is there a way to or I'll throw a request in anyways, maybe you guys have already thought of this, to make that hangar something you can select from your inventory rather than just being kind of under the wing of that jet?
Oh, you mean like in VR, where right now it's the flanker?
Yeah, and you're just kind of close enough to see the wing in detail, but not the whole airplane. But
yeah, there's a file you can even do that right now. I can't remember off the top of my head where it is, but basically you can actually replace the SU-27 file for any aircraft and have it in your hangar.
Ooh, okay, I'm gonna have to go look that up.
For the next big version of DCS, one of the things we're planning on doing is, within the UI itself, to be able to select what aircraft you have in your VR hangar.
Outstanding, thank you.
That's awesome.
That makes me happy. I mean,
Like an
the
extension
Sequoia's
of the
cool, but I
background
really
thing.
love to like see a Corsair or something there.
Oh yeah.
Eye candy.
Well, eventually what we want to do is, have the hangar where basically big hangar, but see all of your aircraft in 3D as well.
Just like a kid, just walk into your hangar and be like,
Yeah.
"What am I gonna pick
And
today?"
walk around,
look
switch when you
around,
wanna
and
fly,
So
yeah.
talking about
insert that clip of Carl Urban from Thor, one of the Thor movies where he's like, "Behold my stuff."
yes. So talking about walking around the hangar, we saw it in the Fulcrum release video. We've seen it with, the C-130J. There's going to be some walkabout, technologies coming to the game.
There's.
With that, is there a plan or an option or a, pipe dream to where there's a ready room, we all sit down for a brief, and then we walk out as our virtual aviators to our jets on the ramp?
Yeah. So right now, well, obviously you with ready room and the carrier will have that, but it'll basically just a direct transition from the ready room into the cockpit. There's no kind of walking animation, through your, where you pick up your gear and, up the ladders to the deck. Eventually, yeah, it's an aspiration to have that. And kind of one of the things once supercarrier is done, particularly with the elements we talked about with dynamic deck crew, we want to take some of that same technology and leverage that to then have airfield crew, whether it's your crew chief, your plane director, and so on. Well, obviously won't need to be nearly as complicated as on the deck of the carrier, but having a more lively airfield with crew out there, we think is really important. And then, like you said, I think, based on what we're doing for the ready room in combination with the ability to walk around, which, we've already seen that with the C-130 videos, and we did an experiment with the MiG-29. So eventually it's coming. And then kind of marrying those together between the briefing room and the ability to walk around. I wouldn't expect anytime soon, but, as you said,
2 weeks.
It's certainly, 2 weeks, a fortnight. It's certainly an aspiration that we want to go towards.
So
because we already have a mechanism just like it. Like when we get shot down, you got to walk your dude back to base. I mean, it's there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, there's
Some of us
obviously
are better
a lot
at
more
it.
work. Particularly the animations going up the ladder into the cockpit when to be done. Interior modeling of the the briefing room. So there'd be a fair amount of work still to do, but I think it's certainly possible. It's just about where you're gonna rob Peter to pay Paul in terms of resources to make that happen.
There's
So with that,
some novelty to that too, though. Without getting into a lot of details, like Fifi said, we've had a chance to test the C-130.
Yeah.
But there's some novelty to that too. Like if you walk your crew chief through the prop arc of a spinning propeller, it kills him. Like if you
Or
get
if you
too close
fall
to the
out.
intake,
Yeah.
So like
Or if you get
some
get stuck
goofy
up the chute door.
punishments.
Yeah.
Or even just
so-
pre-flight inspect your aircraft.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the aircraft have panels that open.
Sure. Like the
Walk
Black
up,
Shark.
open, close.
Absolutely. Yep.
So back to the question about the AI ground crew and the deck crew and stuff like that. Is all that kind of tied into like maybe the AI ATC as well? Because I know that's like a big
No,
thing
That's
where
completely different.
people. Yeah. Okay.
Completely different.
What's the plans with the AI ATC? Because I know that's like another big one that a lot of people have been
So
kind of.
two big elements. One, of course, is the logic and based on the design, which I've been working with a very popular former U.S. Air Force fighter pilot, I'll leave it at that, in refining some of the design to make it, I think beyond doubt, it's going to be the most realistic military ATC system ever done, particularly for U.S. Air Force comms. We're going to excruciating detail and realism to make this happen. Whereas the earlier design was a bit of a mashup, unfortunately, between U.S. Air Force and U.S. Navy comm. And the second element, which we've pretty much finalized at this point, now we're just waiting for the logic to get plugged in, is a whole new UI system where we're going away from the nested menus to more of something akin to what you see like in George and Petrovich, where you're just using a four-way hat switch and that's it. But also it'd be important to have, direct command so you don't have to go through the interface if you want. And hopefully at some point later, the addition of a voice command system as well. That's the ideal in the end. Oh, and then of course the other big one, which I've talked about earlier, is future-proofing the voiceovers such that we can use an AI system that we don't have to rely upon a voice actor, say years later, to redo a part or add a part and not be able to get access to that voice actor anymore. So those are the big things being worked on for ATC right now.
Gonna
Cool.
make it really dynamic.
Yeah.
Immersive.
Well, and that's the thing, is we're trying to really account for every situation you could possibly think of, anywhere from, well, I don't want to give too much away at this point, but the way it's shaping up right now, it'll be the most realistic ATC system in a combat flight sim.
Cool. Well, for the sake of time, I think we should start looking at wrapping this up. We all have things to do at this point.
Yes. But we're really happy to have you here. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad to be here, guys. Sorry it took so
Yeah.
long.
That's all right. We've been excited about this, and it's super awesome to have you on. Normally, as we end with a guest, we just kind of give the guest a platform for a few minutes to talk about whatever they want to say. Do you want to take a few minutes and just address any of the listeners, whatever maybe wasn't covered, or anything you want to say?
No, honestly, I think we've covered almost most of the big items I kind of wanted to relay today. So I think you guys were really thorough on the questions, and I think representing the DCS community well, and asking me the questions I think a lot of these guys have been also wondering about lately. So
Awesome. Jimmy,
We live to serve the people.
do you have crappy dad advice?
Crappy dad advice. All right, so
Goofy dad advice, whatever we
What
call
has
it.
it gone to crappy dad advice? It's always been good dad advice.
yeah, come on, dude.
It has
Jeez,
not always
throwing
been good dad
shade over
advice.
here. So, we all have that one weird uncle. Make sure with the holidays coming up and we have all those holidays meals, if you are a father and you have kids, make sure you tell the kids, which one is the weird uncle.
It's so bad.
Normally we end with a rifle kazoo. We'll have Wags say that for us, but also I think right at the end of this, we're gonna go all the way back to the beginning where Fifi tried his best Wags impression and failed multiple times. I think we're gonna put up pressure on Fifi to put those bloopers in right at the end here.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'll put the bloopers in. I will put the bloopers in.
It's like question mark. I'm what?
Who put the question mark in the teleprompter?
Yeah, Wags, do you mind sending us out with a rifle kazoo?
Okay. Viper 1-1, rifle, zoo.